Opposition. Government. The 2021 Greek protests broke out in response to a proposed government bill that would allow police presence on university campuses for the first time in decades, for which opposition groups accused the government of taking advantage of the COVID-19 lockdown to impose increasingly authoritarian measures. Protests intensified in response to the hunger strike of the prisoner Dimitris Kofontinas, who had started the strike in December, demanding his transfer to a different prison after he had been forcibly relocated to a maximum security facility in central Greece, as well as issues relating to police brutality and specifically the Delta Force motorcycle police. The Prime Minister condemned opposition parties as having exploited lockdown fatigue, which he blamed for the frequent rallies. On the 4th of February, university students and teachers took to the streets to protest against a proposed education reform bill that would allow for a renewed police presence on university campuses. 5,000 protesters demonstrated in Athens, while an additional 1,000 demonstrated in Thessaloniki, in defiance of the ban on public gatherings imposed by the lockdown. Students organized weekly protests to continue against the new bill. On the 10th of February, the date of a scheduled debate on the education reform bill, clashes broke out with the police in Athens and Thessaloniki, during which police used tear gas to disperse protests and protesters threw bottles, rocks and Molotov cocktails back at the police. On the 22nd of February, protesters occupied the principal's building in the University of Thessaloniki and, when police attempted to remove them, clashes broke out. This led to the arrest of 31 people and the issuing of €300 fines to 32 protesters for violating the terms of the country's lockdown. More than 5,000 people subsequently gathered outside the courthouse in Thessaloniki to protest in support of those arrested. On the 23rd of February, people scattered leaflets outside the presidential mansion of Katerina Sakeaopoulou to protest in support of Dimitris Kofontinas. On the 24th of February, a Kofontinas solidarity demonstration in Athens was dispersed by police using tear gas, stun grenades and a water cannon. On the 1st of March, the Greek government refused Kofontinas' demand of transfer to Korydallos prison. By this point, Kofontinas' health had seriously deteriorated due to the effects of his hunger strike. Thousands of people held peaceful protests in Athens and Thessaloniki following the government's decision. On the 7th of March, the Athens police reported that when a police patrol entered Smyrni to investigate reports of lockdown violations, they were subsequently attacked by a group of 30 people, injuring 2 officers, leading to the detention of 11 people. However, videos of the event emerged, showing peaceful protesters being thrown to the ground by the police and attacked with batons. 4 hours later, more than 500 people gathered to protest the incident and were violently dispersed using tear gas and stun grenades. Pavlos Christidis of the Movement for Change denounced the incident, claiming that it wasn't an accident. The government and Mitsotakis wanted this. On the 9th of March, 5,000 people gathered outside the precinct in Smyrni to protest against the police brutality, during which young protesters threw stones and Molotov cocktails at the police. The police responded with water cannons, tear gas and stun grenades. But during the clashes, a police officer was severely injured by protesters. Young protesters attacked an Athens police station with Molotov cocktails, severely injuring 1 police officer. In total, 10 people were arrested on suspicion of participating in the riots, which were condemned by both the government and opposition parties. The Prime Minister gave a televised address in response, during which he said, "Blind rage does not lead anywhere. It should serve as a wake-up call that the life of a young policeman was endangered. At this point everyone must display restraint and calm." On the 11th of March, after the occupation at the University of Thessaloniki was ended by police, 8,000 people protested against the police crackdown. Protesters clashed with the police, during which firebombs and tear gas were exchanged, and multiple people were arrested. On the 14th of March, Dimitris Kofontinas ended his hunger strike after 66 days, as it had led to kidney failure. He thanked those that had protested in solidarity with him in his fight against an inhumane power system.